Andor is the best thing that Star Wars has ever produced.
Hold up. Wait a minute.
Let me explain. Do I love the original trilogy? Yes. Was it, and is it, still fantastic in its own right? Yes. Without question, the amount of emotion that those original movies can still pull from me lives on to this day. And not only nostalgia-wise, but on a pure character level, with Luke being the main character of the entire story, of learning from everyone around him, staring into literal darkness, being tested by it, and coming out the other side a better man, and quite possibly even a better Jedi than his father, in my opinion. True balance in the Force. All of that to say that this show does the same exact thing, but with almost every single character in it. Andor is fantastic. The attention to detail on props, costumes, locales, cinematography, story, characters and their emotions and motivations. Everything I would say is top notch. Of course, the extreme budget is to thank, with it being reportedly upwards of $650 million. And not pulling in the ratings that Disney would hope for, they then stuffed years worth of stories into final 12 episodes. Spanning the course of 4 years, these 4 arcs would be key moments in time to show certain pieces of the overall narrative and key moments with these characters. That's not to say that each arc is good, and that the show is without its tarnishes. It is. It's not perfect. But by God, it is truly fantastic to see a franchise that I love taken care of with such care. And with that, let's go through the arcs, speak about the characters, and the story that is being revealed to us. We all know the ending. The information is transmitted from Scarif, gets into Leia's hands, leading to the destruction of the weapon at the hands of our hero, Luke Skywalker. But the journey of the setup of the Rebel Alliance, what happens in the shadows and without acknowledgement. No parades, no ceremonies. Their names may be forgotten in time to the public, but their actions will ripple throughout time and space more than their names ever could. This is why Andor Season 2 is the best thing Star Wars has ever produced. Season 2 picks up showing Andor on a secret mission to steal an experimental TIE fighter, the TIE Avenger. Here we get a new sense of who Andor is and who he is becoming. Speaking with the engineer, she is scared. Andor is able to calm her down and reinforce why she is doing what she is doing. This may be read more cynically as him just needing her to do her job, but I read it as him leading. He's been where she is, unsure, scared. But with that, this first arc is the worst arc of the season, with me honestly getting a little scared of what was to come. With weird choices like the rocket trooper being in this certain spot for cinematic purposes, to Andor, who is already unsure of the controls, going full bore for a comedic moment? Luckily, I really did enjoy this action sequence, and it was a great showcase for what ship chases and battles may be in this future era of Star Wars. Capture the adrenaline of going fast again, Lucasfilm. Learn from Top Gun, and put us in the action, just like A New Hope did. For Andor, we then land on a jungle planet, where we meet the worst part of this whole series. The rebels of this planet I found to be quite annoying. I understand that they are to show the fractionality and distrust within different partisan groups, all working towards the same goal, but this sequence took too long, and I just didn't care about any of them. And I was fully glad to see Andor finally able to get off the planet. And of course, all of this was the writer's way of taking Andor out of the picture so that the events on Mina Rao can take place. Speaking of Andor, Diego Luna plays him very well this season. He seems like a person who always has to hold it together for everybody else. And there are moments when the world is crumbling around him and you see him breaking. You see him thinking about these decisions that he has to make with his life with Bix, with his life with the rebellion. Is all this loss worth it? Some may say that his character is kind of dry. I think he holds it together for the people around him. There may be moments where he is fractioned or frazzled, which makes total sense for those circumstances. But Diego Luna does a great job. Mina Rao is Zack Snyder's wet dream. Funny to see Star Wars do a Rebel Moon better than Rebel Moon did. Zack thought he could do Star Wars better than Star Wars. Don't come for me, Snyder fans, jeez. Here we see our survivors from the Ferrex Uprising. Bix, Brasso, Willman, and of course, B2, EMO. Bix is living with the trauma of the torture that she went through at the hands of Dr. Gorst in Season 1. We see they're living and working on the planet as illegal aliens, which the locals know about and are willing to protect them. Willman is also in love with a local girl, which is going to be somewhat reoccurring with him, that little hound dog. They are working as best they can after running from Ferrex. We catch up with Mon Mothma on Chandrila, preparing for her daughter's marriage, which she doesn't even want her daughter to do, but there are some unlikely guests as well. Luthen and his assistant, Clea. Here we get a sense of Mon's business partner and childhood friend Tay's business investments are turning sour. His life is falling apart, and he's getting cold feet, setting up Mon Mothma's conflict within herself, trying to do what she can within the bounds of government and law, while the outside rebellion with Luthen starts to taint her enriched life. I want to point out here that Mon Mothma's costumes this season are so beautiful, and the costuming in general is quite phenomenal. I really wouldn't mind people nowadays dressing like they do in the series. It's futuristic, yet distantly related to the clothing that we have here on Earth. Almost like what I imagine Mass Effect universe outfits to be. Anyways, phenomenal costuming by Michael Wilkinson. Please send all the rewards to him. Finally, we catch up with our characters from the ISB and the Empire. Dedra Miro and Major Partagaz are in a meeting with Orson Krennic. Yes, Krennic, from Rogue One. This is a demonstration throughout the series of the words that Qui-Gon said in Episode 1, which echoes through the prequels as well.
There's always a bigger fish.
In this context, the biggest fish in the room is Krennic, compared to everyone else in the room. To Krennic, it's then Grand Moff Tarkin, which he tries to supersede by speaking with Vader, who is next to Palpatine in that order. Krennic is shown who is in charge in that movie, so it's only fitting and an even better payoff when we see he is humbled in that film, seeing him chew the scenery and wear his rank over all the others in this meeting. This meeting feels very much so like the conversation that was had in real life. In 1942 with Nazi officials at a villa in Wannsee. This was to be called the Wannsee Conference, which addressed the final solution of the Jewish question. This event is expertly dramatized in the HBO film Conspiracy from 2001. Please watch that movie. The parallels here are the casual and nonchalant conversations of genocide and of public persuasion. The Empire needs the stone underneath Gorman for their energy project, WMD. But the problem is, Gorman is not without political power of their own. This is not just some junk planet with whoever whatever living there. These are hyper-rich and proud people with power in the Senate and power to sway. This can't be a hack and slash job. There needs to be many facets of disinformation and espionage if it is going to be carried out well enough. Dedra is put in charge of the Gorman campaign by Krennic, and Partagaz sees this as an opportunity for the ISB to get more favor and more credit for the Emperor. You truly see the pieces of the Empire working with and against each other in this season. And for some, the weight of what they pursue may be too much. Pride is a deadly sin. Cyril is now a manager at his company, or whatever, showing a new employee around. You can see he takes pride and loves being in charge, being a help to the Empire. Later, revealing that him and Dedra are living together and in a relationship, I guess? We see their dinner with Cyril's mother, whose relationship we see plainly with him and his mother, always striving to be something more important than he is, more special than he is. This truly shows his want and desire to be important, which will be a big player later on. Dedra is able to throw her weight around as a powerful person by putting his mother in her place. This shows that power and respect is her main goal in everything she does. After Andor is able to escape his dumbass captors, it's revealed to be Yavin 4. Yay. He's then able to contact Clea, who informs him that his friends may be in danger. So he speeds over to them as quickly as he can. The group on Mina Rao are packing to leave. Bix is alone and is approached by an Imperial officer who we saw in an earlier episode. He attempts to rape her in a truly brutal scene, especially for Star Wars. I was going to address this in a video earlier, but decided to let it play out. And I can tell you that there were other ways we could have set up Bix and her ending without having this scene be about sexual assault. Is it a terrible reality? One of war and rebellion that is real? Yes, it is. I still believe there was a way for her to have the same outcome and not have it be about sex. But this does lead to her Arc 2 version, where she masks the pain with drugs on Coruscant. Do I want it in here? No. Do I understand it? Of course I do. This is also important to her because she is no longer a passive player. She is going to fight tooth and nail for herself as best as she can and not let the ghosts of what's happened to her paralyze her into non-acting. Of course, this does feel like further trauma farming for her, but we see her journey in spiritualism in later arcs. The conflict happens with Brasso as well, yelling at his so-called allies for turning him in. This was flabbergasting to me to see the reaction of this online. People really didn't read into the farmer being appreciative towards Brasso for protecting his family by lying to the Empire. People really thought he turned them in because Brasso said it? This is a failure on the viewers' parts. Put down your damn cell phone while watching these stories, please. Brasso was willing to sacrifice himself for someone who worked tirelessly to protect him and his friends. When fights break out, Brasso is able to escape to his speeder bike and drives off, while under fire from the troops. Cassian arrives to help the fight and suppress the troopers, but he is too late. Their cover is blown, Brasso is killed in the fighting, and they have to make a hasty escape. A sad end for a great man who burned everything for a chance of freedom, which will be the theme of the entire show. And leaving poor B2 EMO behind. Broke my heart, man. Everyone is burned, and we see the first time this season, Cassian is in a state of shock and disarray. And oh boy, you have a long road ahead, my friend. Mon's daughter's marriage to Staken Skulden goes through, and we see the ceremony and rituals of the planet and people. We see Mon try to give her daughter an off-ramp, which she doesn't take, and the ceremony is fulfilled. Mon reveals to Luthen of Tay's cold feet, which Luthen then shows he can't have that. Mon spirals at the thought of her longtime friend being killed, and she can't do a thing about it. She parties, keeping up appearances, and is drinking and dancing away her pain and the burning of the life that she has. This scene goes on way too damn long in my opinion. It felt like it was dragged out by 100 times. We see Vel, Mon's cousin, notice Cinta, who has been away for some time, and is now portrayed as Tay's driver. We all know Tay's fate from here. And that is Arc 1. Like I said, it's my least favorite, but it still shows how much talent this team has. For people to say it's boring and slow, maybe put down the phone more often and watch for once. Now we get into the meat and potatoes of the entire season, the true introduction to Gorman. Act 2 is the setup and learning of Gorman. The players are put into place, and we learn about many characters within the faction. We see them interact with both Cyril, who is infiltrating their ranks for the ISB, and Cassian, who is dispatched to assess the partisans, their tactical and strategic ability, and report back to Luthen. This was fascinating because it shows at the haste of which the Gorman faction is ready to move, but they don't quite understand the repercussions of what that means. And while they may be spirited, Cassian believes that they are not ready for what's ahead. Which we see Luthen's reaction. Gorman is to be a signal fire to the rest of the galaxy to wake up. A true spark for the systems. If Gorman goes down, then everyone is in the crosshairs. This, storytelling-wise, is so fascinating to me because it's almost like the two factions want the same thing. And that there are powers on both sides who are going to just let it happen. But it's all for the greater good. A swift kick in the ass. A wake-up call. The Gorman are a proud people. You see that demonstrated time and time again. The leader of the Gormans, a clothing dealer, is so well done. The acting by Richard Sammel is fantastic. Being able to be strong now, proudful, and then later be fully engulfed in dread and despair. Amazing work, sir. Arc 2 also sets up Bix, still dealing with her trauma, and the ghost of Dr. Gorst, now turning to drugs to lighten the pain and torment. We see her and Cassian get even closer, as lovers, as a couple. Cassian loves her and will do anything for her. That anything leads to a personal raid of Dr. Gorst in Episode 6, releasing herself from the ghost and destroying the facility and anything that monster created. Dr. Gorst was a fascinating tale as well. You almost see the delight in him creating and implementing his device, and then dumbfounded when Bix attacks him. This is true for many scientists throughout history, one of which is Wernher von Braun. Wernher von Braun was one of the co-creators of the V2 rocket with the Nazi program in World War II, who is quoted to say, "The rocket worked perfectly, except for landing on the wrong planet." While he dreamed of space travel, his work was used by the Germans for attacks on Britain, claiming an estimated 9,000 plus lives. For this, Werner shows regret, but with a tint of reality. I have very deep and sincere regret for the victims of the V2 rockets, but there were victims on both sides. A war is a war, and when my country is at war, my duty is to help win that war. Clea has been a huge player all along. She is not Luthen's assistant. She is his partner, and we see her power and strength in this arc. This is not the only time Clea will get the spotlight, but a huge shout out to the actress of Clea, Elizabeth Dulao. This was her first gig since getting out of school, and she does a truly remarkable job, showing many sides of Clea that we have never seen before, and fully fleshing out this character. She hears about a rich dude who is going to take apart his entire collection, which Luthen and her placed a listening device in. There is a party, and she goes to retrieve it. An amazing scene with Mon Mothma, Krennic, Luthen, and Lonnie all in one room, double speaking and playing with each other. The tension was palpable, and was just a smart and well-written scene. Great moment to shout out the writers of the arcs here, with Tony Gilroy taking Arc 1, bleh, Bo Willimon taking Arc 2, Dan Gilroy taking Arc 3, and Tom Bissell writing Arc 4. Amazing work here, except for you, Tony. Except for you. Wilmon is dispatched to Saw Gerrera's team to teach their team how to extract gas from lines. The deal is broken, and he is to train a team member now fully how to use it. You can see even more the factions not trusting each other here, which makes Saw's paranoia make absolute sense in Rogue One and warranted later in the series. It turns out that the man that Wilmon was training was actually a spy, and Wilmon has to do the operation himself. There he learns from Saw that to be a revolutionary, you have to be a little messed up in the brain and let go. "We're all dead men anyways," he exclaimed. Not sure where this takes Wilmon, because you see him later wanting to fight more head-on. But he still is a ladies' man in the end, getting with a Gorman woman, both of which survive and end up on Yavin. So maybe it was just to get him out of the shadows and onto the front lines with the partisans later. Vel and Cinta are dispatched by Luthen to help the Gorman partisans with a raid for weapons and materials, which Cyril and Dedra are hoping for. It's a setup to increase the temperature even more. The Empire let it happen. Again, both sides are getting what they want. Vel and Cinta rekindle the romance from years, knowing they're on a dangerous mission, but they are both professionals at this point. During the heist, a particularly frantic partisan gets into it with one of the locals, who's been shown to be more hesitant. In the fray, a single blaster bolt is fired, which kills Cinta. They make their escape, and the partisan who fired the shot is crying. Vel accosts him in the scene, which I think was just fine. I have seen others criticize it by saying it was a girl boss moment. But she's right. If he's going to be in this fight like he wants to be, he has to get over that. He's nothing, comparatively. The whole time she is fighting back tears, because she knows to carry on the mission. That's what Cinta would have wanted. The romance between them isn't my favorite. There was inklings of it, and we see it here only to be torn down. This does lead Vel getting out of the field and back on Yavin to train the soldiers there. Another person who sees the era of secrecy and espionage possibly ending. Cassian and Bix are now living on Yavin. After they blew up the facility, Luthen learns that Dedra is on Gorman for some reason, and tasks Andor to take her out. Cassian is hesitant to do this because of Bix and his love for her, but he takes the mission anyways. 1 year after he had already left Gorman, Bix and Cassian run into a Force healer. Cassian is skeptical, but the healer senses him from across the field. This is another point of contention that I've seen the fans fighting over. The presence of the Force healer reminds me of the Guardians of the Whills in Rogue One. While not full force users, they are able to sense the cosmic force around people, beings, and things. With this sense, they feel things that others can't. The cosmic force is with Cassian. He attributes himself being alive, being to luck.
In my experience, there's no such thing as luck.
But the healer and myself believe that the cosmic force is with Andor, guiding him on a path that he needs to go on. Destiny is calling. Cassian doesn't want to listen, but Bix is. She is now becoming a believer, and she has a huge decision that she has to make coming up. She talks to Cassian about dreaming and feeling things. I personally really hope they do not hint at something for the future with her, and she is more like the healer, is able to sense something around him. With all that said, Cassian returns to Gorman, but this time it's much different. The stage is being set. The plaza has been shut down around the monument, and fresh green troops have now arrived. Cyril is starting to question everything, and Dedra is on the planet to oversee this operation. The military presence instigates a protest in the square. Countless Gorman are funneled into the plaza. The barricades were pulled back to the headquarters to allow this. The Empire is ready, and Dedra is the finger on the trigger. Cyril is confronted by Caro Rylance. He knows what he's done. Cyril says he was just looking for outside agitators, sure, in his mission from Dedra. After this, he is worried of what he has done, confronts Dedra, who is choked and threatened. She gives up that they need the minerals, and that all of this was a ruse. Cyril's entire life is a lie. This is his ego death. Everything he has fought for, strived for, is now a dark pit. They are going to massacre people, and he let it all happen. He is numb to the violence that is about to occur. Everything is a go. The citizens are boxed in, and then the chants start turning into song. The Gorman start singing their anthem. Their pride in their land, their people, is on full display. They embrace each other. In a showing of camaraderie, Major Partagaz gives Dedra the go. She makes the call. The shot is fired by the Empire, hitting their own soldier, and all hell breaks loose. The massacre is so well done. Every actor, every image, and the sound is all on point. This is a tragic and terrible event, and Cassian is there to witness it all. The Empire is shown to be a deadly and precise force, unlike their portrayal in Rebels or other animated features. They are vicious. Just like when we saw them kill Brasso. The exits have all been blocked off, and anyone trying to escape is mowed down. Men, women, everyone. The partisans of the Gorman Front use their stolen weapons, but it is a fight that they cannot win. Many with the organization lose their lives. People we have seen wanting to push the fight are now gone. Cassian, helpless to really do anything, sees Dedra as she looks for Cyril in the crowd, and then is tackled by Cyril. An amazing hand-to-hand brawl occurs. No punches pulled, the sound design, the filming of it. This is who Cyril has been after for years. All of that frustration, anger is now on display. Cyril will have his revenge. At one point, Cyril has the final upper hand. He's about to eliminate the person that represents everything he has strived to stop. And then Cassian cuts him like a hot blade.
Who are you?
There is a lot of very smart double speak throughout the show, but this one hits with so much weight. Cyril doesn't know who he is. His ego and persona is now gone. He is just an empty vessel of hate and anger now. Everything he thought is now gone. His girl is a monster. His mission was a lie. The other way that he means nothing to this man, who he has meant everything to him the last few years. Cassian's confusion about who he is, the fact that he doesn't know, places the entire conflict into perspective. And then the blaster bolt hits Cyril in the head, killing him immediately. The partisan leader, Cairo Rylance, has enacted his revenge. There is another beautiful and haunting shot of Cairo sitting amongst the weaves of cloth, with smoke enveloping everything around him. Everything his people, family, home, has been, is gone. Going to cinder in a short amount of time. Radio broadcast by Wilman's girlfriend sounding tragic. No one is there to help. The Imperial broadcast news has their own story to push out about it. Dedra herself starts to feel the weight of what her actions have done, as we see her freak out over the whole situation. Her acting this season has been amazing. Same with Partagaz. Anton Lesser does an amazing job, and you can feel such weight with him on the screen. He is seen as a major player within the ISB, but little do we know, he is still low on the pecking order. Amazing work here. Andor is able to get out with the help of the Gorman Front, taking out a KX droid and bringing him back to Yavin. Word travels, and it's now Mon Mothma's turn to tell everyone the truth and put to words that the time to rebel is now. The aftermath of the massacre, we see the political fallout and the sides being drawn. The secret rebel alliance led by Senator Organa has a plan. Again, with the doublespeak here, the plan being with Luke, and the plan being with the organization. With his help, Mon is able to address the Senate on the situation. It is insane to think that this actress was casted 20 years ago for a role whose scene was cut in episode 3, returned 10 years ago for Rogue One, and now puts on her performance in this show that is truly remarkable. The depth that she brought this character is legendary, so huge shout out to Genevieve O'Reilly. Fantastic work. This speech is amazing and pulls no punches to who she sees as the enemy of the people.
Is Emperor Palpatine
by name. A speech of objective reality in spin. Truth, the death of truth, being the ultimate victory of evil. Before the speech, you saw other senators taking up words of the media. The spin is in. But Mon Mothma cuts through all that and is able to get the word out. But with this, the target is now on her back, and Cassian has been dispatched to help. Luthen knew that Organa's team was compromised. Luthen was able to give Mon the word. So when the event actually happens, it seems absolutely intense, and Mon is not adapted to this world. With the help of her assistant, who you see Luthen talk to back at the wedding in Arc 1, and is now working for him, Cassian is able to take out Organa's traitor and make his way outside, also taking out Mon's driver, who is secret ISB as well. They take her car, and it is said that she is to be delivered to Gold Squadron for a second speech, which is the one we see in Star Wars Rebels. So it lines up, which is kind of cool. Cassian returns home after the mission, stating to Clea that this was his last mission. He was to make a life with Bix after this. He tells her upon his return, only to have Bix leave in the middle of the night. She felt something special with Cassian. She knows he has something to do, and she is not going to get in the way of that. She chooses the rebellion, for the greater good of the rebellion. This ends Arc 3. Welcome to the rebellion, indeed. The alliance is formed, the lines are drawn, and we are in our final arc. Make It Stop is Clea and Luthen's story. I was quite worried having an episode just featuring those two, but I am ever so glad they did. This journey of Lonnie discovering the Death Star, the information going from Lonnie, who is then tragically killed by Luthen, from Luthen to Clea. Then the information gets back to the rebellion was exhilarating. I didn't know Clea had Solid Snake techniques, but she has definitely made one person feel like 10 in this attack. How is she able to do all this? You are shown the backstory of Luthen and Clea, how they met, and how they get into the place that they were. This was phenomenal. Even seeing an attack on a Naboo bridge in a flashback, you see the beginnings of their espionage work and the motivation behind them. Luthen's past of being a military officer and taking orders from the Empire to kill anything moving during a military campaign, which he doesn't want to do. To Clea, witnessing that and other atrocities done by the Empire. Seeing Dedra's fall from grace and the capture of Luthen also is so well done, showing that Dedra broke protocol to snag Luthen, aka Axis, and that she is not rewarded for it, but persecuted for it. Lonnie was using her login, and she knows too much, which means Lonnie knows too much, which means more people know too much. The hunt is on for Clea, and she calls for help. Cassian, with the help of Melshi, hop in their ride with K2 to come to Coruscant to help. K2 is now with Cassian, and is a really great part of the team. He's able to bring levity and humor, as well as being a powerhouse. This is a little bit different than Rogue One, a lot a bit different, I would say, where we see a KX droid getting shot by Jyn. But in this show, bolts blast off of them. So maybe these are different power ratings on blasters or something, but still doesn't make too much sense. So I dock 1 point. Anyways, this scene demonstrates another great example of double speak from each character. They both are playing coy and know exactly why each of them are there. Stellan does such a fantastic job this season, even if he is just listening to the lines in his earpiece because of his fear of messing up, and since he previously had a stroke. He is able to deliver a fully remarkable performance here, in the flashbacks as well as during the entire series. It is so tragic that Clea is never truly able to say goodbye to this man who practically raised her. And with a kiss on the forehead, Luthen passes. Clea is the last one to have this information, and Cassian, K2, and Melshi are on their way to save her. The ISB team is hot on their trail, and we have a new fantastic hallway scene, with K2 plowing his way through the team, even holding Dedra's counterpart as a human shield for some of it, straight out of a horror movie. Really insane stuff here. They are able to return back to Yavin, and you see Clea's disgust with even being there. These different factions are going to have to work together if they're going to survive. I really didn't know what was going to happen with Clea, so I'm glad that she was able to make it out of this story alive and be a part of the rebellion in some way. Luthen was able to save someone he loved.
Saving what we love.
No, not you, damn it. Dedra's fall from grace is an example of how the fascist machine will chew up and spit out anything and anyone, no matter of past accomplishments and awards. Dedra is interrogated by Krennic, who thinks Dedra is either working for the rebellion or 100% incompetent. Partagaz, in the end, is not out in the clear as well. As head of the group, he is visited by Imperial officers, but asks for a minute alone, which he then takes his own life. Even someone as powerful and is of such stature is not protected from the machine. A really tragic end for him, and we see Dedra in the same prison that we saw Cassian escape from. Just desserts indeed, but all tragic in the end. The final episode is setting the immediate stage for Rogue One. You hear all the information from Saw's faction who wants to talk to Cassian, and Cassian alone. Great way to lead into the movie, this informant was one of Luthen's. Rebels now hear of two separate stories of the same story, confirming the existence of such a weapon. On his way to the mission to meet the informant, Cassian again crosses the Force healer, with her again pausing in his presence, watching him pass by. She knows this is his last march, his last mission. And destiny, the Force, has a plan for him. The show truly ends on a hopeful vision. We return to Mina Rao. We see B2EMO is playing with another droid. We see a woman walking in a wheat field. It's Bix, with a baby, looking off at the sunset. This is such a wonderful, hopeful, beautiful image to end the series on. With all this darkness, shadows, death, despair, in the end, we have a woman who has gone through all of that and has found peace, happiness, and comfort with the knowledge that Cassian is going to do something important for the whole galaxy. This show directly mirrors one of the final shots of Andor with Jyn in Rogue One. The explosion from the Death Star hitting Scarif, creating its own sunset. Both have tints of hope that all that they did was not for nothing. It was for the future. They burned their lives to grow a tree that will one day provide shade for other generations. Luthen's speech from Season 1 is the goal of these characters. Luthen provides a better future for Kleya, Andor for Bix, Mon for everybody. Everything that would have been a normal life for them has been turned upside down just for the chance that they could build something for everybody. That is a wonderful message and a great way to end the series. But I really do hope that Disney leaves the Andor lineage alone. But hey, Disney is gonna Disney. So why is Andor the best Star Wars has ever been? It's the writing, the well-rounded, thorough character work, and the actors taking the words on the page to the next level with their portrayal. The attention to detail with props, the straight-up gear porn that they show all the items and how they work, costumes, environments, and everything in between. Does Arc 1 suck? Yes, those rebels are terrible. But to me, this doesn't detract from the rest of the season and what the show is. Huge props must be given to Tony Gilroy, the writers Beau Willimon, Dan Gilroy, and Tom Bissell, the directors Alonso Ruiz Palacios, Janice Metz, Ariel Kleiman, and their teams creating wonderful cinematography that rivals some of the best movies out there. The score by Brandon Roberts, who intertwines espionage and spy-like electronic sounds with classic Star Wars orchestra work. The costumes by Michael Wilkinson. The brilliant work from ILM on background replacement and everything. Such wonderful work from them. Props, sets, everything has been taken care of. Even a blaster from Season 1 has its own arc. A corporate blaster pistol making its way through the story. Such attention to detail shows that the creators actually care. They gave a shit. Their work speaks for themselves. And that is why Andor is the best thing Lucasfilm has ever done. Hopefully, it's not their last. And remember,
rebellions are built on hope.
And thank you so much for watching. If you like what I do, please feel free to subscribe and like the video. If you didn't like what you heard, let me know why down in the comments below. Let me know your thoughts on everything Star Wars, Andor, and everything else. Thank you so much, and have a great day.
You have no idea where I am.